I'm just going to go to give Glenn the controls here and find out what's happening on the ground in South Africa. I believe that's where he's from. There you go, Glenn. Looking forward to hearing your voice and seeing your screen. There is a screen share option for you.
Hear me all right there?
Yeah, hi. How are you, Glenn?
Yeah, very well, and you? Very well, and you? Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, you're welcome. Are you Corin's friend?
Yeah, I work with Cornet. That I do. I apologize in advance for whatever he said.
Oh, well, you know, he made a good call being bearish euro in the mid 120 level. So yeah, because there just aren't that many of you guys in South Africa, right? I think he said there are only 3 or 4 or 5 licensed FX brokers there.
Yeah, we're pretty small in number. We're yeah, the absolute number I'm not too sure, but certainly a handful that focus in the FX space. You know, at least licensed to you know, to trade other people's money. But yeah, just on his euro dollar call, I remember that if only he traded the thing.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. He did
easier to be an analyst than execute the strategy, right?
He's a good trader. He's a great trader,
yeah.
and he had a fantastic call there. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you before we get to whatever's on your radar, and I went to your. Looks like you're winding down your at Practical Pips website. So what would be the best place for people to get a hold of you after the interview? I usually ask this later. And I'd like to know what it's like on the ground there. Last time I talked to Cornet, you know, you guys were having trouble in South Africa. I don't know why you're classified as an emerging market when, you know, I think that it's pretty mature. It might maybe they just throw anyone having political, economic problems into an emerging market. So the U.S. may be there one day. Let me ask you, what's it like on the ground in South Africa, and what are you doing with your own currency? Do you hedge? You know, you probably get paid in the rand. Do you hedge it? What do you do, and what's your outlook for the rand here?
Yeah, sure. So we actually we had a GDP print that came out today, and we are now in a technical recession. So that's 2 quarters in a row, and that obviously puts us in a technical recession. And all the sort of forward-looking markers are suggesting the same thing, that we're not about to, you know, sort of come out of it. So it's kind of more of an official view on what we've all sort of known for a while.
Do you have an inverted yield curve there?
To be honest with you, I'm not too sure. I don't trade too much on the bonds and the yields and the treasury.
I know that's what a lot of U.S. traders are focused on, and actually, I think that's what Powell, who, you know, came out after his nomination as a big hawk, kind of backed off a little bit on his speech at Jackson Hole of being a hawk, because they're worried about that. So, so what do you do when you get paid in rand? Do you convert to dollars, or are people there seeing the value of perhaps crypto while their currency is under assault?
Yeah, there was a point towards the end of the last year, sort of November, December, where South Africa was the highest ranked country in the world for Googling cryptocurrencies, right? So there was a massive drive. Yeah, it was crazy. There was a massive drive, and it's obviously tapered off. You know, as I'm sure you're aware, that the interest globally has just dropped off as the you know, as prices have plummeted at the same time, right? It's not nearly as exciting as it used to be, but there is a lot of hedging. There's a lot of, you know, as an individual, there are a lot of people that are moving money out of the country. We base our business in dollars anyway, in United States dollars. We always have.
Okay.
You know, when we're pricing in risk and when we're taking positions, we're doing everything offshore anyway. So we focus in the offshore markets. That's where we trade anyway. So as far as our business goes, we are a natural hedge, you know, ourselves, because we're trading in dollars within earning in dollars. But you know, the situation in the country remains the same. There's not too much we can do about it, right?
Right. So, well, what's your view on the dollar? A lot of people are thinking that high at 97. And the Dixie may have been it for a while. Maybe 92 is in the cards before a resumption of the bull market in the dollar? What's your view on the Dixie and the euro?
I was having a look at the dollar index, and the euro and the dollar index. I mean, you know,
Can
I
you
kind of
share
look at
that chart? You have the chart with you?
Yeah, I don't, unfortunately. I've got another one that I'll put up in a second.
Oh, okay.
But you know, it's for me, it's always been a case of the two of them, both the dollar index and the euro, are not particularly tradable in my mind at this time. You know, when I look at a market, I don't really aim to make long-term predictions. I say, how can I take advantage of where this is right now? And the dollar index, as far as I'm concerned, is sitting in a big old box. And right now with the euro, we've seen a bit of strength lately, but I need it to really pop higher before I get interested into it.
What would convince you? Over 120?
Yeah, I guess around about 118, 120, and then I'd be keen to go long on the euro. The short side, I don't know. It's even harder to call at the moment. I think there are just easier markets to trade.
What are they?
Let's pop ahead.
I like easy.
Yeah, I like easy. So maybe
I like luck. I like easy. I you know, at times I'll even put my cursor over the candle, Glenn, and try and move it in my direction.
Yeah, well,
you ever try that?
You can clear at it. It helps, right?
Yeah, no, but someone tried a magnet that didn't work either. So, what are the easy setups that you're talking about here?
So let me jump ahead. Yeah, what I did is I kind of moved a few charts onto sort of a PowerPoint chain in case I was having any issues with our connection. I copied a couple across. So let me run through it. Let me know if that works. So that's me. All right. I'm a professional trader. I'm a regulated money manager here in South Africa. I've been trading for about 14, 15 years, full time for the last 4 or 5 years. As I said, I work with Corne Smith. He was the one. I think he called you high live. At least that's what he tells me. So I'm going to let him have it.
It was there. Yeah, it was in the area.
So
it's on tape. It's on tape. You know, if you don't believe it, we record everything you say will be on video too. So go ahead.
He'll have it on dial on his phone. But
yeah,
I am a very boring trader. I don't. And I'll say I don't really make too many predictions about where I think the market is going to go. I really just follow price. That's what I've ever done. But I thought there were just two things that I wanted to share with you guys today. So I work with a lot of traders. I work with a group of probably half a dozen professional traders that have a lot of value and that they provide me with a lot of value. And something that it's really stuck out to me in the last couple of months that I thought I'd share. It's very brief, and then we'll get into a couple of the charts. So this is the most important thing that I think traders need, and the most important thing for traders. And it's not your broker, it's not your system, psychology, hardware, markets, you know, the car you drive, your discipline, your trade management. It's something more fundamental to that, and it's what drives my trading and my success in being able to manage other people's money. And it's your values. And all I wanted to say about that is the values that you have are going to represent the things that matter most to you. And this is how you accomplish and achieve the results that you want in trading. So very, very quickly, you know, if you want to translate this into something practical, I know it's perhaps a little bit abstract, but abstract. So, you know, if a trade moves against you and you've got a stop loss sitting there, and how many times have you you know, and we've all done this. I'll be the first one to admit it. You know, you remove your stop, or perhaps you widen it, or something along that.
And you know it CIC, cancel if close.
Yeah, exactly right. And you know, you move your stop, you do something like that, and you wind it, and you learn. Of course, you know, you're going, well, you know, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't move stops. And the problem there for me is not so much the idea of moving stops. It's what do you value more, right? You know, if you're going to say to yourself that one of my personal values is commitment. If I commit to a set of rules, then part of my values are included in following those rules, right? And I think if traders can translate some of this stuff to their own trading, it makes it a whole lot easier. So just maybe an idea, my own little tip to guys out there that are perhaps learning, that are perhaps struggling, try and associate what matters to you. So, you know, if you value consistency, then translate that into actual parts of your trading plan. Are you going to consistently risk 1-2%, whatever it is?
Walk the talk, right? Don't just talk the talk, walk it, right?
Exactly. and bring it down to your level, to who you are, to really core of who you are. And you'll find that you actually don't want to go against your rules, because you're saying, you know what, this matters more than moving a stop loss. This is about who I am as a person. And anyway, so I just wanted to share that idea very briefly. So
it's a great, I've never heard it before, but in those terms, but it's a very, no, but it's true. You're right. So maybe that's why we feel some embarrassment when we do make those types of mental lapses and mistakes, is because we know that we weren't following through with, you know, we didn't have integrity with ourselves.
Yes, that's exactly it, right? And at the same time, you have to be able to forgive yourself. You know, if you make a mistake, and if you acknowledge it for being a mistake, you say, that's a mistake, I'm going to move on, I'm going to follow my rules. You know, no one's perfect. But the point is that you're not saying, wow, I made a mistake, I'm useless, here comes the revenge trade.
Yeah,
you know
or
I mean?
fetal positions. And, you know, I use a sports kind of metaphor. Tell me if you agree with it. Like, you know, I'm a big American football fan. So after a quarterback throws an interception, he doesn't come back into the huddle and go, guys, I just don't know if I could do it anymore. I've kind of lost some of my confidence. And do you think that maybe you guys could just run the ball for a while because I'm afraid to throw a pass? And no, he says, next.
Yeah, absolutely. He wants to keep going.
Next.
Right? He wants to keep going. Yeah. So anyway, I just when I was sort of putting this together last night, and I thought, well, you know, I quite often I keep my trade station very separate from my sort of work PC. So I log in, I take positions, I log out, and I walk away. So, you know, I'm not able to just quickly whip up things like that. So I just I took a few markets that I'm looking at the moment, and I thought, you know, I'll tell you why I'm looking at them. You know, why they interest me, and yeah, that's what I have here. So I added the rand as you were talking about it earlier. I thought, well, you've kind of brought it up, and you've got a trader from South Africa, so I better put it in. So we've got the first thing that I marked there is that big spike up that we see in early August, and that was really at the same time as the lira, you know, obviously the Turkish lira went crazy, parabolic against. And I think, you know, there we were hit with a bit of this sort of emerging market jitters, if you will. You know, all the headlines came out, all the news stations were, they were talking about emerging market, this emerging market. And that. At the same time, we do have what I've written there, point 3, which is a fair amount of political uncertainty going on. So it's basically a political shift away from honoring private property rights, but it's very vague. You know, so, and of course, you know, investors don't like to hear vague things. You know, that they want to know if they're bringing money in and they're buying land, or they're investing in industry, or whatever it may be, that they know, you know, where their money is going, and how safe it's going to be, and that there's some sort of, you know, at least there's a guarantee of return and things like that. So,
are they talking about nationalizing the mines there too, Glenn?
There has been, you know, I must admit, the mines have been, you know, obviously within the political spectrum, you will get elements that are making a lot of noise that the sort of majority are not too interested in. So, the mines, there has been talk. I don't, at this stage, you know, obviously that might change, but at this stage, I wouldn't say it's too serious. For now, it's more of a land question. So with, you know, it's more of a private land, and targeting what they say is unused land, but you know, it's again, it's very politically motivated. So, you know, what's unused land is potentially an investment to someone who bought it many years ago with the intention of selling it. I mean, that's capitalism, right?
Yeah, it sounds like Marxism.
Well, yeah, exactly right. It's certainly a big shift, to the left. But it is unfortunately, because we are less than a year away from elections, the sort of the ruling party isn't being too specific on, you know, what they mean and what they're going to take and what they're after. So the end result is that vagueness, because I do think that they don't really want to cause absolute chaos, but you know, that vagueness that they are that they're perpetuating by not giving answers. Well, you can see the result here, right? You know, that the currency is taking a knock. Our local equities if you price them in dollar terms, haven't gone anywhere in 5-6 years, right? So there's certainly, there's a lot of issues on the ground.
Okay. You ever think about relocating?
Yeah, absolutely, right.
When you're in a storm, sometimes when you're in the middle of a storm, we all think about, where would be a nice haven. Have you given that any thought?
Yeah, so a lot of people in the country got family overseas, and a lot of South Africans have immigrated to Australia, New Zealand, have been always fairly popular destinations. At the same time, it's a country where the worst never happens and the best never happens either, which is a kind of a funny way of looking at it. But
Yeah.
it's it's a great country. We have a lot of really good people.
Love it. You love your country.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I understand that.
Yeah,
you may not love the politics, but you love your country.
Who's ever loved a politician, right? I mean,
I don't know. Politicians. All right. So what's next on the agenda after?
Yes. Sorry, what's that, Dale?
What's next on the agenda after this slide here?
Yeah. Another couple of markets that I wanted to have a look at. So it's more of my sort of trading philosophy. So I took these shots towards the middle of the US session yesterday. So I know they're a little bit out of date. I do apologize for that, but it doesn't really change my trading plan too much. So as I said, I'm a boring old trader, right? So pound dollar for me has mostly been going down. I can call my 6-year-old daughter in and I can say, hey, is that chart mostly going up or mostly going down or mostly going sideways? She'll say mostly down, and I'll give her a sucker, and I've paid my consulting fees.
Like it.
If you want to throw a trend line or a moving average, whatever the case, I'm happy with all of them. For me, simple lower lows and lower highs that I've tried to mark them in there. I'm still keen on shorting this sucker, and we've now had a break of that little gray dotted trend line that I drew at the bottom, and I think we're going to see continued downside until I start seeing price reversing this pattern, producing
higher
some
lows.
Sort of
higher lows, higher highs. Yeah,
exactly right. So that's all I'm after. I lock in a position on that. I typically don't go for fixed profit targets. I'm very conservative on my risk. I typically only risk a single 1% on a position, but I will aim to sort of ratchet that up as price goes, right? Moving along, locking in each sort of R. Perhaps if we catch a nice decent trend, getting an 8, 9, 10 R trade in at some point, but that's really all I'm after.
Okay.
Well, let's keep going. So the Kiwi was another one. A couple of your speakers mentioned the Kiwi, and I liked it too for exactly the same reason. Same kind of thing that we're going on here. I'm still looking for more downside. I know that it's since reached that low, that the last low that I've got drawn there, sort of early August. I know it's reached that this morning there, but it still doesn't really change anything for me. I would expect that low to be taken out, another pullback on the high, and again another short. All right.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So these three are the same, very similar, and then there are another two that are a little bit different. Same kind of thing on the pound Swiss. I quite like that. I mean, that's just fallen off the cliff. I know there's a gap there, and you can argue whether it's closed or not. I guess it probably technically has on the wicks. I mean, again, I don't really care. It's just falling off a cliff. It's going down for me. I don't see any reason to buy until it stops going down. Right. So those are three sort of in the works for me that I quite like. And then these two were two that I've been monitoring for quite a while. So I marked this one up a couple of weeks ago. This is the Euro Aussie, and it hasn't really produced that high structure yet. But and I know a lot of traders are looking it up there for a double top. And of course, if it reverses, great. Then perhaps we need to start looking for shorts. But for me, given how it's blasted right up there and it's just sort of sitting there right now, I'm going to start looking for that trending structure. All right, so the first sort of pullback and bounce, that's me. I'm in. So this would be kind of an early stage trade for me.
Yeah, because it looks like based on the formation from that low in late May and the recent resistance, you have potential for 170 just based on the arithmetic of the formation.
Yes, yeah, correct. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah,
nice
yeah. So that's kind of an early one for me. Well, let's keep going. The dollar CAD, the loonie. I think someone else mentioned. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's broken up there. You know, someone else mentioned that one. It's funny. This is an interesting chart. If you put it on a weekly time frame, you certainly see the opposite. You'd suggest eventually a breakdown lower. But I mean, again, I like this for the upside, right? We've got this push up, we've got this
right.
channel sort of structure, and again, more upside. Now that we've got the breakout, I'll wait for potentially a retouch, and then yeah, go long, just just ride along with price.
Okay. So you said you're a money manager. How is it structured in South Africa? Similar to a CTA here in the States? Is there a regulatory body, and how do you set up accounts with power of attorney, and how do you get paid as a money manager there?
Yes, yeah, all great questions. So it is certainly regulated. We have what's known as the Financial Services Board, which has actually just undergone a change. They're now the Financial Services Conduct Authority, and they're remodeling a lot of what they do based on the United Kingdom's Financial Conduct Authority. You know, a couple of the sort of the changes that they're making there. So they regulate the financial industry as a whole.
Okay.
Within South Africa, so that will include everything from banking to insurance to you know, to trading to these kind of managed products, which is what we have here. So I am licensed under Ubuntu Markets. We'll go back to that. We'll go to the next slide in a second. So yeah, so I'm licensed to take client funds. What we do is we run them in segregated, separate accounts. We don't combine them in. Yeah, we don't combine them into.
Yeah,
no pooling at all. So we keep them in segregated client accounts. They get sent off to the LPs. You know, obviously the funds get sent off to the LPs, and yeah, we're mandated. So as you kind of mentioned your LPOA, we don't accept an LPOA just because for our regulations they're actually not robust enough. We use a fairly stringent, strict document, quite comprehensive, which is a mandate, and all it does is it mandates what I'm allowed to do for my clients, right? Which is obviously.
Can you take clients from? Can you raise money all over the world, or are you limited to your country?
We can raise money all over the world. We take clients from all over the world. Okay. Yeah, we don't have an issue with that. Obviously,
what's your account size? What's your account size minimum?
$10,000.
Okay. Worst drawdown in the last 2 years?
15%.
Okay. So that's what I used to look at. Everyone looks at the gains. I want to know how bad. You know, when it's bad, how bad is it, and can the guy recover from it? So
and how long did it take you to get out of it? Right? How long were you sucking mud before new highs? Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I mean, that tests the mettle of a trader, and you know how they react to it and manage not just the markets but themselves. So how would people get a hold of you then, Glenn, if they were interested in continuing a conversation and discussing this?
Yeah, okay. So I've put it up there on the slide. I mean, you can email me there. There's our office number, and our licensing is at the bottom there under the Financial Services Board of South Africa. But you know, I'm certainly happy to elaborate and explain more of what I do. And
your Twitter handle that you'll probably be the most active on, is it going to be at Ubuntu?
Ubuntu Markets, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, what a pleasure meeting you, and what an interesting take on comparing people's value system to the effects of their trading. And some great looks on a couple instruments. It was very, you know, I learned from you today, my trading warrior brother.
Thank you very much, Dale. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the
Hold on a second. I have to move my stop. Just kidding. It was getting a little. You know, I'll leave you with this, Glenn. The last time I used a mental stop, my first stop was a mental institution.
Yeah.
Anyway, say hi to your partner. Say hi to Corne for me, and I think I have him in the schedule down the road, and would love to have you back, and appreciate your time and sharing your story, philosophy, and some of your views on some of these different instruments. I really appreciate your time today, Glenn.
Thank you, Dale. I appreciate the opportunity, and I wish your traders the best.
Good hunting, buddy.
You too.
Okay, that's it, FA.C.E. See everyone for, well, today was Turnaround Tuesday. See everyone tomorrow. I have Victor Zubarev with us tomorrow. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. See everyone then. You see in the members chat, Blake and Steve are in there right now. And I'll see everyone tomorrow. Adios.